Hi everyone, welcome to today's MEF Connects webinar, the title of which is The Future of Messaging and Customer Experience. I'm Tim Green, I'm the Features Editor of the MEF and I'll be moderating today's session. Now today's webinar is a follow-up of MEF's Future of Messaging ebook guide, which we launched earlier in the summer. And that guide is free to download and I advise you to all go to the MEF site and have a look at it. It explores how companies are embracing business messaging and making it a key differentiator in customer engagement. And the guide was sponsored by Syniverse, and today I'm delighted to be joined by Jeff Back, who's the Vice President of Product Management at Syniverse. He's just waved as we dig into the topic. But even better, these conversations are often crying out for an actual end enterprise user, and today we have one. And that is Brian Yag, who's the Global Retail and E-commerce Strategy Manager at UPS. So I'm looking forward to this one. Now, before we start, a bit of housekeeping. Today's session will last between 45 minutes and an hour. We'll record it and we will post the recording on the website and on our social channels so that you can take another look or share with colleagues. And we'll also do a write-up on the site as well. We encourage questions, so if you want to ask anything, please click on the Q&A tab at the bottom of the screen. I'll look at those questions throughout and relay them to our panel. So thanks for that. And with that, I'll start the conversation. So briefly, Jeff, just introduce yourself for us.
Sure. Hi, everybody. Again, Jeff Bach. I am Vice President of Product for our Enterprise Business Unit, which includes our A2P messaging and communications platform as a service, or CPaaS, portfolio, and our general kind of mobile engagement portfolio. So good to meet everybody.
Great. And Brian?
Good morning, everybody. Brian Yag from UPS, Global E-commerce Strategy Manager. My area of influence at UPS is specific towards our residential package delivery experience and our members associated to that, specifically under the umbrella of the UPS My Choice ecosystem. So my area of expertise with UPS is specific to the digital channels that we offer to over 50 million UPS My Choice members here in the United States, over 20 million internationally. It's really the end-to-end experience, whether it's from the notification and the communication aspect, all the way through the end delivery and the visibility and control along the path. So it's a pleasure to be here, and thanks for having me.
Great. Okay, well, Jeff, you just mentioned CPaaS. So for anyone who's any brands watching who are getting into business messaging, can you explain the kind of evolution of the market from sort of A to P messaging, as you might call it, to CPaaS? What is that?
Sure. Well, okay, so probably over the last, well, actually, honestly, probably a decade, where it started with what's called application to person messaging, right? A to P. And, that is basically the first wave of kind of mobile engagement with your customers, potentially with employees, et cetera. And, the draw of that was that you have a channel to your end users and customers that, is paid attention to, massively higher, views of those messages, as well as click-throughs and actions off of those messages. And, essentially everybody has a phone. So it's an easy way to reach, 7 billion people, and that's pretty powerful, right? And it's proven to be very powerful and utilized, and even today, increasingly continues to be utilized for different types of use cases that people are coming up with. Now, we all know that phones have evolved. Obviously, the technology's evolved, and there's all kinds of other ways now to be able to communicate with mobile end users. And so, it's opened up a vast number of additional kinds of channels to those end users. And so that's kind of the advent of kind of the second wave of mobile engagement, I call it, which is communications platform as a service. So an ability to start using some of those other channels to get to customers and try to figure out which is their preferred channel and communicate to them over that preferred channel. And so that's kind of what's kind of started CPaaS and the likes of Syniverse and Twilios of the world have put out there. Also, the other aspect of it is that it's programmatic. So you present brands and businesses with the ability to program to APIs to initiate the either one-way or two-way communications through a portfolio of APIs. And that's really what CPaaS is. Okay,
so maybe just to elaborate on that, sort of talk through the end user experience. So if I'm in enterprise and I work with Syniverse and I start using CPaaS to organize my message sending, how does that actually look for an end user to do that?
Well, actually, it's interesting because it's the way it's been adopted. It's primarily been adopted by what we call digital natives first, right? So digital natives are kind of the over-the-top, players and kind of the technology upstarts that are usually trying to kind of supplant the bricks and mortar enterprises, right? Or in some cases create a brand new market, like the sharing economy and Uber. So those types of companies they're coders at heart, right? So they wouldn't have it any other way. They want APIs to be able to program to. They're going to create their customer experience, okay? And program that up usually in the form of an app, right? So you can have kind of you can present a CPaaS portfolio and library and let them come to that library and use it as they see fit. What we now see happening is the bricks and mortar companies, and Brian, I think we think of UPS maybe as more of a bricks and mortar company, but more legacy company, especially with COVID, are now confronting their digital transformations and are increasingly, know that they have to improve the customer experience, the mobile customer experience. And so they're starting to look at CPaaS, but a lot of those folks are not necessarily coders at heart, right? And so they're looking for trusted partners to help them consume the APIs. And that's kind of the role and where Syniverse specializes in is we like to work with the more traditional legacy companies and be that kind of trusted partner to sit alongside the bricks and mortar companies to help them program in and improve their mobile customer experience.
Okay, so Brian, you've just been described as a legacy company. I know from speaking to you before that you don't take offense at that, which is good.
No, none.
So why don't you, before we get on to some of the sort of the new and more exciting areas, why don't you just tell us where UPS has come from in terms of business messaging? Because obviously we've all received deliveries. And, I imagine most of us have received confirmation alerts of those deliveries. So tell us where you've come from and so where you're at now.
Sure. Yeah, it's interesting. You brought up a bunch of really great points, right? So as a legacy company, we have systems and processes in place that have been developed, a number of years ago that have really kind of built the foundation of our delivery network. There's a lot of key elements that Jeff just touched on that's absolutely relevant when it comes to UPS. Right? We have our legacy systems. We have the information that's available to us as to where a package is from that transit perspective, right? So is it with the hands of the shipper? Is it in UPS's network? Is it out for delivery? And it's really kind of taking into that consideration those key elements as well as the applications that are feeding this. So from my perspective, it's going to be UPS My Choice. It's really all about that end-to-end customer experience. And so what we think about and where we've really kind of gone, and it's kind of this digital engagement platform. And I think Jeff just touched on it really well. COVID has accelerated it, but not just that. It's been many years in the making that we've been focusing on our own internal digital transformation with this massive shift to e-commerce that we're seeing. But it's our opportunity and challenge to really kind of communicate with the customer where that package is in our network, what options are available to that customer, and really drive ourselves down a personalized communication platform that really unlocks features, functionalities, and convenience, choice, and control for our customers. But it's all about kind of the connectivity, right? So Jeff talked really, candidly about the, being well suited to really kind of work with the legacy companies. And that gives all of us the opportunity to do our jobs, focus on our jobs to the best of our ability. But really, as we kind of shift our focus into the future, it's getting really to your point, Tim. We have traditionally been a company that has focused on transactional messaging. Here's your package. This is where it is. From a residential standpoint, it's coming to me on this day via this this pattern. Where we're really looking to go forward is becoming much more personalized, taking ourselves from a transactional approach to really engaging our customers in that delivery experience, I think, which we'll definitely get to here shortly, but getting them involved in the convenience, choice, and really the control of that package delivery experience.
Well, thanks for teeing us up for later, because we're definitely going to come back to some of the newer use cases and the more exciting things we can do with this. But to come back to Jeff, you talked about legacy companies being the big opportunity for a company like Syniverse. Can you summarize what the big challenges are when you're trying to integrate your systems with some of these big legacy companies that might have proprietary software that's many years old and so on?
Sure. Yeah, that is a big challenge. As Brian said, they're running these very successful businesses. They have these business systems that are already set up running that, and now it's now you have to figure out you offer those systems. How do you enable not just a mobile customer experience, but a differentiated mobile customer experience? Because unfortunately, not only is it a challenge and COVID's accelerated things, but the digital natives, the upstarts, have trained the end user to expect a really interesting and unique experience, mobile experience, right? And having that kind of relationship with the brand. And so the legacy companies, that it's just raising the bar, right? And it's just making it more challenging. So we come in, we first of all help. We can talk to them about kind of the art of the possible, right? With our portfolio, and we have more than just channel APIs, right? We have things like identity verification capabilities. You can validate phone numbers. There's all kinds of different things you can do to enhance what you're doing with those customers. So we can kind of offer some insights into what the art of the possible is. We can help them program to our CPaaS portfolio. But one of the things we also now have added, and I think is kind of the third generation of CPaaS or mobile engagement, is orchestration, right? So an ability, the customers are expecting more and more advanced and detailed experiences. And really to do that, you need to start weaving these capabilities together in more intelligent ways. And the way to do that is with orchestration. Orchestration is, and we've launched an orchestration engine at Syniverse. Orchestration allows you to kind of be that middleware to tie things together in serial and parallel to do a much more advanced and value-added type of engagement with an end user than just sending a text message, as a for instance, right? The thing that orchestration also allows us to do is integrate into a lot of the legacy platforms that the bricks and mortar companies are using. And some of those are, fresh integrations you have to do, but we're also working with the big SaaS platform providers to get integrated behind their capabilities as well. So not only do we work directly with the legacy companies to integrate into their existing maybe legacy applications, but we're also working with those SaaS providers, because take, for instance, say a Salesforce, somebody's using that as their CRM. Well, Salesforce has started to build messaging and mobile engagement capabilities into their platforms. For instance, they have a campaign management module that you can buy and kind of design and run campaigns, maybe marketing campaigns to your customers. And when you design that campaign in the Salesforce UI, at the bottom on the right probably there's a button that says launch campaign, right? We're working with the SaaS companies to be behind that button. We enable the communications that happens when you press that button. And so we're kind of indirectly helping bricks and mortar companies through the integration on the SaaS side, as well as directly, like I mentioned.
So Brian, is that something that chimes with you? Are you looking at that, or are you already doing that kind of thing?
So we're definitely working in a number of different ways to kind of coordinate and take a longer term vision with regards to those types of integrations. Specifically on really kind of the residential side, which is my area of expertise, we're really looking at opportunities to think about orchestration and really trying to understand and connect into different types of systems inside of UPS. So with regards to UPS, we're really interested in helping that package delivery experience, whether that be working with our customers to honor their preferences and help them understand where, when, and how they want their packages delivered. If it's working with alternate delivery locations and the communication of what an alternate delivery location is. For example, UPS has over 40,000 UPS access points, which are alternate delivery locations, being the UPS store, working with major retailers like CVS, Michaels, Advanced Auto, and really kind of working with the mindset of communication. And the campaign structure is absolutely a core element in helping to communicate the value proposition and understanding and drive awareness through this mobile first type of engagement. Thinking about it in terms of that mobile native experience that Jeff was just talking about. So absolutely, as we set our sights forward, it's the more features and functionalities that we build, the more we expand our network in unique ways, and the more we work with our customers, the more deeply the integrations will need to be there. And it's going to be working with those types of SaaS programs and understanding what is available to us and understanding the orchestration and how that can work.
So why don't you tell us what the experience is like for the recipients of your packages, how it used to be, and how it is now since you've been able to make your systems more advanced? Yeah,
it's actually interesting. Right now, it's kind of where we're looking to set our sights in the future. Is really kind of investing in changing the experience. Right now, it's more of a traditional approach, right? It's orchestration in terms of email, SMS, and push notifications. It's very informational. It's extremely UPS with regards to the context and the options available in the message that we're pushing. And it's kind of real-time visibility. Where we see ourselves headed into the future is really trying to take advantage of different types of technologies. Specifically, one that's very of definite interest for us here in this conversation is going to be the RCS type technology, right? So what this type of technology would enable us to do is really think about our customer, meet them where they need us, allow them to have a branded experience, a branded digital experience with UPS that is proactive. It's prescriptive, it's intelligent and data driven. And really what we give ourselves the ability to do is really try to work with our customers on a one-on-one basis, enable those two-way conversations and really try to work with our customers to personalize, customize, and make that an individual UPS experience. And this does a couple things for us. First of all, it's about driving relevance, letting people know what's available to them and helping them along this curve. There's a lot of technology innovation that's taking place, and it's really kind of making that impression and really driving that action. It's helping us do our job better. You know, if a customer needs it in a certain place on a certain day at a certain location, what we want to make sure we can do is meet that customer where they need them. But it takes it one step further, really. And, you know, one of the things that we're always challenged with, and it's a great opportunity, is our customers, our shippers, our merchants entrust UPS. They deploy UPS as their carrier of choice. And that is our opportunity and obligation to help them complete the e-commerce transaction. You know, a customer identifies a merchant, they identify a product, they go through the purchasing process, they engage with the retailer all the way through that process. That's when UPS becomes an extension of their business. And it is our opportunity and our challenge to communicate and work on behalf of both constituents, our merchants and our consumers, to really fulfill a custom and personalized delivery experience that meets the needs and really kind of elevates our shippers, but also gives our end user, whether that be a resident or a business, the ability to really, you know, give their perspective and self-manage that package delivery experience.
Well, Brian, you've mentioned, you touched on the potential of conversational messaging and rich messaging there. So, Jeff, I'm going to come back to you. So, obviously, this is one of the big developments that is coming on stream now. From your point of view, what do you see as the potential of adding rich messaging platforms into this CPaaS mix?
Yeah. So, well, first of all, I think that it's getting there. Okay, RCS. It's really a reach question, right? Right now, you can reach, you know, a lot of Android phones, and carriers are moving forward with RCS, and it's starting with P2P in their networks. But the reason they're doing it is for A2P RCS, because that's where the money's going to be made. And the reason they're going to make so much money is because it's an ideal channel through which to do e-commerce and all these, and to raise the game in terms of your end user experience, as Brian illuminated, right? There is nothing like that interface. You've got your brand. You've got, you can present choices to the customer. You can have a very dynamic and rich conversation with that end user. A lot more information can be presented and fed back than in an SMS conversation, right? So, but just back to RCS, it is hitting critical mass. These networks are deploying. We actually play a role. We have a big carrier side of the business as well, and that's usually symbiotic between enterprise and carrier. So on a carrier side, we're working with a lot of operators around the world to start to interconnect. And once you have that, you start to hit critical mass, and RCS is going to, you know, hit mainstream. It is going to pop. It's just a question of when. But the other, you know, there's other rich media channels. You know, the social channels are Apple Business Chat. You know, so it's not just RCS. There's plenty of other options out there, and in any of those mediums, if you can present a much more coherent and user-friendly interface to be able to converse with the customer, it's just gonna, you know, enhance that conversation, and you're gonna get a lot more feedback, and the customer the end user is gonna feel a lot more comfortable communicating to you through that, as opposed to, you know, maybe some of the old ways.
And what about coordinating those different channels? So, you know, a big enterprise customer of yours, it might have this section of end users over here who prefer WhatsApp, and these prefer iMessage and whatever. How can you help them orchestrate campaigns so that they reach the right customers on the right channels?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So, well, it all comes down to, the true definition and meaning of omnichannel. The true definition and meaning of omnichannel is that you are consistent and you're having a coherent conversation that's ongoing across multiple channels. This started way back when e-commerce started happening and everybody all of a sudden had a website that you could buy stuff from, right? If you bought something from the website and then you went to the bricks and mortar store and you tried to return it and they said, no, you have to go return it to the online store. That is not omni-channel, right? And so now that we have more and more channels to the end user, and they have preferences, then we have to start trying to figure out, how to have a coherent conversation across all those channels. The last thing you want to do is be tone deaf in sending an email promotion to an end user that is right now, having a text conversation about a problem they're having, right? It's probably not the right time to do that. So you really have to maintain statefulness across all those channels. And one of the ways that we do that is with orchestration, right? So some of the channels and a lot of the information that's going to feed that conversation is coming from various legacy systems, right, within the business. So with orchestration, we can connect to all those legacy systems, be drawing information out to inform the conversation, and then pushing information back to those systems so that they know what's going on. And then across all the channels, making sure that the communication is again, coherent, and it's one conversation across multiple channels. So that's where orchestration is going to help us out a lot.
So, Ryan, obviously the great advantage of rich media channels is that they're rich. And so you talked a lot about personalizing the delivery experience. And obviously you can do that with SMS to a certain extent in terms of framing the right message and in the right way and offering different alternatives to people. But when it comes to rich messaging, you can suddenly start to add videos and images and so on and carousels. So how do you see those channels impacting what you can do for your customers?
Yeah, we touched on a lot of really good things there, and Jeff made a couple of really great points. The rise of e-commerce, and as we kind of look at 2020, we're seeing anywhere from an expected growth of just shy of 20%. And what that means for UPS is more packages, more touch points, more interactions with customers, and more impressions. Orchestration at UPS from a notification standpoint, and when I say notification, it's informing our customers of what's going on. Where is your package? Has it shipped? Is it in transit? Is it going to be delivered tomorrow? Today? Is it delivered? And down to even communicating changes, weather delays or day, date, location changes, whatever it may be. It's our opportunity to do an effective job of communicating. Orchestration right now is really at the forefront of what we're thinking about and understanding and working with our customers. We have 3 primary channels that we use today, but we definitely think about more of the social channels as well. We're working our way into there as well, specifically internationally, where it has more of a foothold than domestically here in the United States. Orchestration is really about meeting the customer where they need us, where they tell us they want us from their preferences, right? And so that is, do you want to be communicated from an email, SMS, text message? Do you want to be communicated through the mobile application? Orchestration is really about us getting it right. The right message on the right channel to the right customer at the right time. When we think about these 3, email is very much not, where we are today is it's not as action oriented, right? Most emails are opening greater than 90 minutes, as opposed to an SMS, a text message, even RCS and where this is headed. The engagement on average is within 3 minutes. Those open rates are significantly higher and greater than 90%. And it's an active channel. it's highly important. It's you got to, so from us, it's the opportunity of conveying that right message. As it relates to RCS, when it comes to videos and images and content, that's just kind of where it all gets started, right? So up until this point, e-commerce has been, you know, we'll say a major piece of UPS. But even as of recent, the rise of e-commerce, COVID, for example, has driven this residential package volume. It's surging, and it's all kind of driven from the e-commerce experience. And so, you know, when it comes down to is UPS is investing in new features, functionalities, and it's our opportunity to really communicate through these channels. What are they? You know, we want to make sure that customers know what solutions are available to them, give them the tools necessary to interact with us, and understand what's available. And so videos, images, highly engaging, drive action, drive awareness, and really try to think about the engagement with that customer. We want to engage them, but we also want to help them through that customer journey. Let's give you the right information on the right channel. Let's drive that immediate action that you see. So for example, if say somebody's not going to be home for their package delivery experience, or something as simple as needing a signature, right? Utilizing the channel to say, hey, you have a package coming. This is when it's coming. This is where it's going to be delivered to. Does this date and time work for you? And hey, by the way, you know, you need to sign for this package. Can we work towards a path to where you can help facilitate that signature, or even down to kind of the self-management of telling your driver or UPS where on your property you want that package delivered, around the front, you know, at the front door, by the garage, around the back of the house, and really trying to think about being action oriented with our customers.
And it's not just the user experience you're improving, right, Brian? I mean, being able to avoid missed delivery times and dates, that, you know, even if you just move the needle a couple percent, that probably adds up to big dollars, right?
Yeah, a couple percent points on that makes big headline news. So to be realistic, it's these channels really give us the opportunity to do our jobs better with the right information. It really makes it so that we can facilitate the delivery at a much higher percent rate. When we know that the customer is there, they're going to give us the right information and tell us where, when, and how they want that package delivered.
So Brian, do you have a native app at the moment that people can download?
We do have a native app. Yes, it's
and have many people, what can you do on it, and do many people download it?
Yeah, so right now, total number, I don't know right off the top of my head. I know it's greater than a couple million downloads. It's available on both Apple and Android devices. With regards to what's available, it's you know, kind of the opportunities available to the customer is really your visibility. Where is that package? The management of that package. You have the ability to ship, you know, create labels, process payments inside the native mobile application. So it's definitely a unique channel for us when we think about it in terms of engagement and loyalty. Earning the trust of our customers for them to go out to a mobile application store, to seek out UPS, to download that application, and to dedicate real estate on really what is their most intimate device, an extension of who they are. You know, we're really honored to have that opportunity, and it's all about really pushing that engagement and that customer journey through the native mobile application. What's that?
I'm assuming that the functionalities that you can get from the native app, you'll be able to get inside rich messaging, and obviously that's a lot more accessible to more of your customers than downloading a native app is.
You're right. You know, as you kind of think about it, that's kind of the top of that hierarchy, right?
Mm.
So when you think about your reach and you think about your engagement at the top, you've got the native mobile application. You know, you kind of think about it in terms of broadening your reach in that hierarchy, and you get into the rich media aspect. You get into SMS, you get into text messages. Definitely a regulated environment, you know, that we work with Syniverse on. We talked a little bit about that authentication process, agreeing to the terms and conditions and going down that path. But the reach is much larger. You're exactly right, Tim. And you can do a lot of those features and functionalities that you can leverage inside of a mobile application. And you can do them through an RCS platform. And really with the technology and where it's heading, it's great opportunities.
So when it comes to one of the most important parts of rich messaging, which is the two-way conversational part, a lot of the time that's going to be with virtual agents or bots or whatever you want to call them. So Jeff, how do you see the integration of virtual agents with your customers, especially the legacy customers who are coming to this for the first time?
Yeah. So, so first of all, there's firms out there that design these bots for customers. In RCS, everything really is going to be driven by a bot. Okay. And so one of the things that we're actually developing is a bot vetting service, right? So you can't just kind of create any bot you want and then launch it and have it start sending, communicating through everybody's networks. The service providers, the operators have rules, about what can be done and what can't be done through their RCS messaging. And frankly, each brand, right? They have brand guidelines that have to be followed as well, right? And so we're actually developing a bot vetting service where we can take in those policies. We'll have them for all the operators. We lend value in that regard because we'll go out and get them from all the operators. We have all those relationships anyway. We'll embed them into our bot vetting service. And then we'll, when the brand shares their brand guidelines with us, we can embed that. And then we can put these bots that are being developed by a lot of the partners that we partner with, on behalf of brands like UPS, we can actually put that bot through its paces and make sure that it is truly adhering to those policies. It's going to be an important aspect of it going forward. But there's no doubt that everybody sees the promise of it, right? And it's just going to grow and grow the more AI can help have a virtual agent have an intelligent conversation with an end user versus a person. That's just going to continue to get better and better and save brands more and more money.
And to ask you a tricky kind of question, because I know this is still up for debate, but obviously the business model around having open-ended conversations with chatbots is going to be different from sending a single SMS alert. So how do you see that evolving in terms of the business model question?
Well, I think this is, I guess, service provider type stuff, but I mean, the way the operators really are kind of charging for that is starting to migrate to more session-based, right, types of pricing. So it's not about how many messages, and count them all up and charge for each message. It's more about how many conversations did we enable for you, right? And really, whether it was a 5-message conversation or a 50-message conversation, at the end of the day, you're starting to just get to, hey, we enabled an outcome for you that hopefully was beneficial and valuable for you, and therefore we'll just charge you for the that outcome instead of the messages that were used. So that's definitely one way that RCS at least is migrating.
And Brian, have you started to think about how you might use virtual agents as part of the delivery process?
Yeah, it's something that's definitely being evaluated from UPS. From our perspective, if we have the opportunities to start these conversations through the RCS channel, it puts opportunities, it puts options, it puts actionability in the hands of the customers. It also gives us the opportunity to anticipate. We can leverage our customers' preferences, rich media, rich data, to really go down the path with them and eliminate any foreseeable challenges that they may have. It's an opportunity for us to really kind of be proactive. And, we have service agents around the globe that are answering questions, that at high rates. If we have a solution like RCS in place, people can seek us out when they need us, where they need us. And this is becoming table stakes. You know, I personally interacted with a retailer just the other day. I didn't seek out a phone number. I sought out a channel to chat with them. And these bot technologies really give companies the opportunity to, you know, really have conversations focused in the right channel. When we think about, you know, the channel itself, whether it be SMS, be RCS, these are, you know, our notifications are the front door. It's the interaction. It's being proactive with our customers. You can solve a lot of things in these channels. That minimizes the need to either go to your website or to interact with a service agent, or even, you know, have a customer go out on social media to voice their challenges, concerns, questions, whatever it may be. Having a dedicated channel provides value all across the organization, whether it be a proactive experience, whether it be informational, whether it be questions and challenges in a delivery process. Maybe somebody's, you know, realizing that they're not going to be home, they've got a vacation scheduled, and they need to get in touch with UPS immediately because they have a package coming. Redirect it, set a vacation, you know, what we call a vacation hold, so that we can make sure that we help them with the right challenge and give them the right solution.
And of course, as Jeff said earlier, it's pretty good in terms of costs as well, and the speed of resolving issues and so on. Yeah.
It has its benefits. It really, you know, the one-on-one interactions will always need to be there. I mean, that's, some people will seek it out, and they'll need to be there. Giving the right tools to the right people is the most important piece. And that's where personalization comes in. And I think we need to be ready as an organization. I think all organizations need to be ready to answer and be there for their customers where they need them and when they need them. So I think that's really what it comes down to.
Okay, well, we've had a few questions in from the audience, so I'm going to try and sort of wrap some of these into one question. We've had a question about basically regulation and compliance, and you know, where data is stored and so on, with GDPR and so on, and also as a sort of complementary question to that, another person's asking, what can we do to ensure privacy in RCS? So Jeff, what kind of measures do you put in place around, you know, ensuring compliance and privacy for end users?
That's a good question. So first of all, I'll just get to the last one first. There is an effort going on right now to add end-to-end encryption over RCS. So I don't know the specific standard or the you know, I think it's being driven I think by GSMA, but I do know that there's an effort that we're actually working on to add end-to-end encryption for RCS. Number one. Our platforms, we're evolving our platforms to be in the cloud. Okay. And so I came in about a year ago. One of the things I've been driving is kind of a next generation platform, a rollout that we're doing for Syniverse, our next generation CPaaS and messaging platforms. One of the big requirements for that was that we need to be able to spin these up in either regions or like the EU, or even in countries, okay, to honor data sovereignty requirements, okay, and regulations, where either data in motion or data at rest, usually data at rest, does not leave the borders either of that region or that country. So increasingly, the platforms are going to need to be cloud native, and we're going to need to distribute them around the world, obviously meshed, but they're going to have to, you know, for certain customers. And sometimes it's industry stuff too. It's industry requirements, say like in Australia for insurance. It wasn't a government regulation, it was the industry itself, and they actually put into their contracts that that data could not leave the country. So it can be driven by industry as well, and that's how we're gonna solve those for end users and for brands like UPS.
And a kind of a related question, but a very specific one is somebody asks about how the UPS system can handle or validate high value shipments or even or confidential shipments or even illegal shipments. How does the system ensure that there's privacy there, or that you're detecting problematic shipments?
Yeah, so when it comes to high value and it comes into kind of those category specific shipments, one thing is going to be a healthcare device, critical shipment, category A's and B's, C's, and so on. Those are really kind of the regulations that come in on the front end. We capture that information that's required of our shippers from a UPS perspective, from a legality perspective, as a trusted carrier, we work with our customers on a day-to-day basis to identify those packages, deal with the paperwork and the filings accordingly, and transport those in absolute regard to the regulations implied. When it comes to the security of them, UPS is inherently protective of information, of data, of what of the shipper, of the package, of the recipient. It is really interwoven into every aspect of what we do when it comes to privacy, regulation, compliance. We take CCPA, we take GDPR extremely serious, and it's something that I know personally I've had the opportunities to work with our legal teams, because this is all relevant when it comes to the privacy and really trying to think about the impacts associated to these channels. When it comes to UPS My Choice, this is at the forefront of what we do. It's understanding who is that shipper, and really kind of who is our consignee, who is the package recipient, and how do we handle these packages, and how do we handle this data. So it is absolutely interwoven into the foundation of UPS, into our legacy systems, into our applications, into our processes and our legal formats. And we hold ourselves to a high degree, and we hold our shippers to a high degree as well. But data security is at the forefront of what we do.
Okay, another viewer asked Jeff question of you, which is what do you think about using AI to assist with rich messaging? So I'm assuming that what they mean by that is, are you working on technology that helps your customers to analyze the behavior of their and the interactions with their customers, and then send out more effective messages as a result?
Yeah, so very early stages for us, but yes, the answer is yes. That also, though, is a big element of the bot or virtual agent as well, right? And being able to have that, it depends on where you want to put the intelligence. And with orchestration, we're definitely looking at how we can add AI into that orchestration engine and solution to help where, say the brand or the company wants us to take on some of the heavy lifting of being more intelligent about how to manage across channels, right? Or it could be the bot that's getting the AI help to be more intelligent, okay? But one of the things that we're looking at is the holy grail is knowing for each end user what the ideal channel to communicate to them is. And that may be based on some past preference information, but it also may be on where you're successful in the past. And so I think there's a lot that can be done with AI, and that's what we're particularly focused on, is being able to present to somebody like Brian to say, don't worry about it, just send us the content of the message you want to send. We're going to send it down the ideal channel that's going to give you the highest probability of getting in front of that user's eyes, and while still maintaining the conversational context. But that would be a lot of value to UPS and Brian if they just let us figure out the best way to get to that end user instead of them having to make that decision.
And how far away is that kind of innovation?
That's probably, I would say that's something that we probably can start to get to in the second half of next year. That's what we're focused on.
Right.
Yeah, it's still early days for us for sure, but it also depends on what kind of information that it can draw from, right? So we're in the process right now of figuring out what are the information sources that could feed that.
So, Brian, talking about we've just had a glimpse into the future there. I don't know if it's, would you care to speculate on how a UPS delivery a notification might look in 5 to 10 years?
5 to 10 years. I would, to me, it's a really interesting opportunity. If we look at ways that UPS uses, artificial intelligence today, it's really trying to understand the alignment in the most optimal way in order to get a package to a recipient. Our intelligence engines are running constantly to try and optimize. As soon as a label is created, as soon as we know a package is going to enter into our network, we start to look further downstream and try to understand what day are we going to be able to get it there, at what time are we going to be able to get it there, and really work our way towards getting the best and most rich information, most accurate information to our customers as soon as we can. As we really, take that information, there's kind of two aspects here, right? It's leveraging that type of information to run our business and really try to move elements and packages through our network. And then there's the other aspect that Jeff just talked about, is there's AI when it comes to conversations with customers. It's understanding who you're talking to. It's understanding and being predictive with what expectations they desire. Understanding previous delivery habits and understanding what's available from a network standpoint. So if we from down the road, I would love to see us, be predictive in the nature of saying, Tim, you have a package coming on Wednesday. Historically, it's not been a good day for you to deliver packages. Would you like us to redirect this package to an alternate location? But we also know that maybe Thursday's better. What's your preference? You let us know and we'll facilitate that delivery experience. And really trying to work our way down that path, because that is the reality. Using the right technology, the right artificial intelligence can really help us to personalize that conversation, but make it so that is a relevant experience that says, UPS knows me.
Well, I'm sure you're going to be delivering a lot of packages, because you are at the perfect intersection of the physical world and the digital world. And as such, it's been fantastic to hear you speaking today. The perfect use case for this conversation. So, Brian, thank you very much for all you've said. And Jeff, thanks for your insights as well. Thanks for watching. I'll urge you to check out the Future of Messaging guide on the MEF website. And remember that you can catch this conversation again or share it with your colleagues when we post it on the site in a few days' time. So yeah, Brian, Jeff, thanks very much. And we'll see you all again soon. All right, thanks. Bye.
Good conversation.